purchase and consume cannabis in your region. This production is for adults only. Welcome to the Cannabis 101 podcast, part of the Cannabis Life Experience. Your guide through the legalization and consumption of cannabis in Canada and beyond. Join us on this journey and adventure with the wonderful plant. Here's your host, Dean Millard.
Hello there and welcome to episode 86, hour number 2 of the Cannabis 101 podcast, where it's not just about getting high, it's about getting healthy. My name is Dean Millard. I'm so glad to have you aboard for this journey, and we're going to have a lot of fun, but we do need to kick things off in our own unique way here on the program, and that's by finding out just what's your groove.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Can you dig it?
Kinda grabs you by the boo-boo, don't it?
Pipe in a grape, long in a blend.
This is great. This is the bee's knees.
Can you dig it?
All right, when I ask what's your groove, what I want to know is that while you're listening to this show, if indeed you are grooving to something when it comes to cannabis, I would love to hear about it. Possibly you have just some nice relaxing CBD. Maybe you've got a big fat joint. I don't know. Maybe it's a CBD joint. Who knows? It could be a number of anything that you could be grooving with. But if you are, please let me know. Love it. Big supporter of the show, Joey in Pennsylvania, loves to point out what he's grooving with, and he always has some beautiful stuff going on. So please let me know what it is, if indeed you're grooving to anything, or just where you're listening from. Would always love to hear that from our listeners and our viewers as well. You could be watching this on our YouTube channel, possibly streaming on our social media channels, or you might be just listening. This is what I'm grooving with. It's the original Stash OS Click, and this is the Blue Dream. And what I've done, at some points, I've taken this. This is really cool. I don't know if you guys have actually seen how this works when I get it off. You just turn the top, and then it pushes it out in controlled doses. So at times I've put it on a joint and sprinkled some keef over it for like a super potent, really fun double Blue Dream joint I did. But also at times you just click it and put it in, load it up in the Slash from Stonesmith. That's what I've done with this right now. So I'm going to get my groove on with this Blue Dream in the Slash from Stonesmith. I just love the linalool, that terpene that comes through in Blue Dream. Just absolutely love it. All right, so that is what I'm grooving with. Love to hear what you're grooving with. And just for chiming in at any point in the show, everybody can qualify for the prize pack, the Cannabis 101 podcast prize pack. So this is what's coming down the hash pipe on this program. Charles Padalino, A Sea of Cars. I love talking to musicians and artists about their cannabis use. A band out of the Chicago area, we're going to join us and also talk about the legalization process that's happened in Illinois. Chris Ianson from Plant Life Cannabis, regional manager and our educator on Know Your Buds. He is bringing us Blue Topaz, which is Slurricane 9 from Queen of Buds, and it's awesome. Queen of Bud is just absolutely blowing up. There is so much good stuff coming out of that area of cannabis. So can't wait to bring you that one. Our cannabis question is about athletics. What pairs well with cannabis is watching something, and we'll also tell you about the Weed Weekly and how you can get in on our giveaway every Friday. That comes right into your inbox when we spin the wheel of names. Good stuff with the Weed Weekly. We'll tell you all about that and more. But right now, let's get things going with the cannabis question.
It's prize time. Chime in on the cannabis question.
Okay.
And you could win a Cannabis 101 podcast prize pack.
Pipe and a crepe, bong and a blint.
Hit us up on any of our social media feeds or email us at cannabis101podcast@gmail.com.
Okay, here we go.
So for the cannabis question this week, I'm asking you, do you combine athletics with cannabis? And, you know, when I was in my peak athletic form, people would have been like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? I at one point thought I could not focus when I played golf and cannabis. And, you know, turns out it was probably just had the wrong cultivar. So now I would love to get back into the golf game a little bit with legalization. So chime in on the cannabis question on Twitter at the Cannabis 101. You can get us on Instagram and Facebook at the Cannabis 101 Podcast, and you can email me and stay anonymous, cannabis101podcast@gmail.com if you so choose. But let me know. I love to ski and use cannabis, paddleboarding out on the water, things like that. But got some really good responses on Instagram. Deer Killer 3R07 or Deer Killer 07 says, love going for an afternoon hour walk with my Slash from Stonesmiths with Shenadley 1974. Walker Fresh saying, running and cannabis has been a newfound joy for me. Broken Coast Ruxin joints on hand helped me complete a 50K in the fall. That's awesome, man. Some great karyophyllene in Ruxton. Rosin Bros, our good friends, they were on an early episode back when we didn't have video. Says, used to smoke a fatty right before lining up for half marathons and full marathon. But before every race, a big doob. Now it's more dab, so less smoke and plant matter are consumed. So really, really cool stuff. And then Tomei Toe says, is slow pitch considered athletics? Then it's pre, during, and post enjoyment. Heck yeah, slow pitch is athletics. You're swinging, you're running, you're fielding grounders. Ah, man. I really want to get back into playing slow pitch. So anyway, hit me up on Twitter at the Cannabis 101 and on Instagram, Facebook, the Cannabis 101 Podcast. You can also email me, cannabis101podcast@gmail.com. As for what pairs well with cannabis, if there's anything that you like to do with cannabis. Just talked about athletics. Here's the opposite of athletics. Watching the channel Adult Swim. Listen, I'm sometimes late to the party. I just discovered Adult Swim. I absolutely love it. I'm catching up on a lot of shows that I've missed and a lot of new shows. So big fan of Rick and Morty. So that's what pairs well with cannabis for me is watching Adult Swim and laughing my ass off. And usually it's because I'm packing the Slash with something goodness. And that's because they're such great friends and supporters and partners of the show, just like the OZ and the Green Generation Co. They appear on hour number 1. But I love that I get to work with a local Edmonton company. You can check them out online at stonesmiths.ca. We have the wonderful Slash, as I showed you before. Best part about this, built-in loader. Boom, you get your stuff loaded in, and you're good to go. So they've got a new chamber on the way that's going to produce even bigger clouds and heat up even faster, and it only takes 4 seconds. So check them out at stonesmiths.ca and find some good stuff there. And don't forget to check out the Cannabis 101 podcast.ca, where you can find past episodes, contests. You can subscribe to the Weed Weekly, which comes into your inbox every Friday. We also have a Patreon account and a link there. As you know, you're not allowed sponsorships in cannabis, so if you are so inclined, we'd love some support. Of course, no pressure, definitely no obligation. But if you enjoy this show and the production value, certainly we've tried to put as much into the show as possible. We'd love any kind of support that you could possibly give us. And as mentioned, the Weed Weekly, you can sign up for just for subscribing. And subscribers get it every Friday in their inbox. We do contests. We have a little bit of a history note and some other fun stuff. So yeah, that can be found at www.cannabis101podcast.ca. All right, speaking of musicians, that is our guest today, Charles Padalino. We're going to hear from another musician right now, from the artist My Dead Dog. This is the Weed Song, and then we'll talk music and weed with Charles after that. Love talking with artists on this show, artists of any kind, and not specifically always people in the cannabis industry, but people that kind of use cannabis for their industry. And really happy to welcome Charles to the show from Sea of Cars, Charles Padalino. And first of all, Charles, I guess, how long have you been producing music? What kind of genre do you guys have for the Sea of Cars?
So as far as producing and writing, Sea of Cars actually only started a little more than 5 years ago. Our first show was actually on my mom's birthday, in December. Happy birthday, Mom. And it just kind of started as a solo project. It was just something I was doing in a small studio that me and my dad had in our house. And after writing our first EP and working on it, took it somewhere, really recorded at a studio. And after that, I just really felt, I want to start playing. This is something I think I really want to do. And recruited my drummer, and ever since, the rest is history. About 5 years I've been writing music at Sea of Cars.
Nice. All right. So tell us a little bit about the genre, who's in the band. Give us the details on that.
Very small outfit. We're only a 2-piece. We did originally start as a 3. But unfortunately our bass player at the time, he just had a lot of personal things going on and felt, he needed to step away. So I didn't let that hinder us. We just pretty much ever since continued as a 2-piece. I would like to have a bass player, but I'm not beat up by it because, kind of adding to what our genre is, because of what I view our genre as, I use my guitar tones and I build my tones around that to kind of compensate for not having bass. I give my guitar a little bit more of a bassy tone. So we kind of go along the lines of a ambient, experimental post-punk is what I like to say. But Dean, genre is such a big thing at this point. I feel like it's so hard to pinpoint, and anytime someone comes up to me and asks, I just, internally, I feel bad to myself for picking genres because we're so much stuff and that's why I put the experimental tag, because I don't like to stick to one thing. I like to, because I like all different genres, and I like to put that in the music to show that I listen to, not just maybe punk music or indie music or alternative stoner rock or something like that. And yeah, so ultimately I'd say we're kind of just atmospheric experimental music.
All right, I like it. People can find the website, as if they're watching, you can see it, seaofcars.bandcamp.com. And where else can they find your music?
We are, man, pretty much on any streaming service you could think of. We got Spotify, we're up there, we're on Apple, Deezer, Pandora. I think the company we go through, they just they get your stuff out on, I think it's Perfect. 45, 50 plus things. So I'm sure you could type it in and they'll just pull up everything.
Excellent. All right, let's talk a little bit about cannabis now. We're going to discuss more about music, but let's talk a little bit about cannabis. And, when did cannabis become part of your personal life and why?
So as far as personal life, about the age of 21, I met a group of younger, and they were big users of cannabis. So ever since then, pretty much end of the line. I've been a user ever since, 9 years.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about cannabis and music now. Do you have any rituals when you're writing music that maybe involve cannabis or any kind of combination for you with cannabis and music?
Yeah, of course. I mean, pretty much almost any time I go to sit down and play my guitar, more so for the purpose of creating music for Sea of Cars. Yeah, I usually try to smoke a little bit just because it usually will help. And I find with the sativas, it really helps a lot. And even if I just want to sit down and play my drums and goof off, I'll do. But yeah, definitely it helps me to smoke and to really get into that creative niche most of the time.
Do you have any kind of go-to cultivars that you really feel help with creativity, or do you kind of try to mix it up a little bit so maybe you don't are always depending on the one thing? Because the great thing about the plant is that we all react a little bit differently to it. So what might stimulate creativity for me might not for you.
Of course, yeah, they have that endocannabinoid system. I found a strain recently from my dispensary called Mr. Clean, and that has just, I bought 2/8 of it, and I'm still. And I bought it probably about 2.5, 3 months ago almost. And I'm still sitting on about 3 grams, a little less of it. Cause I enjoy it so much that I don't want to use it right away. Cause I want to use it for when I'm creative. So yeah, Mr. Clean has been a good one for me lately.
What about writing? Have you written any songs specifically about cannabis?
Not yet. And I actually had an idea a while back when I was going to school, and a buddy and mine, we were smoking in my car, and those little tree air fresheners that are in cars, we kind of looked at that, and we were smoking, and we were looking at that, and we're like, we could kind of, he's like, you could make a little song, about the two of these kind of mixed together, and you could call it Little Trees. So I have that actually as a note in my phone. So who knows? That might turn into something. I might reference it on this next album, because we're actually in the process of writing for our next album. So maybe I'll throw that in there.
That's good. seaofcars.bandcamp.com. What music? And this is probably a bit of a kind of an open-ended question, but what music do you think goes well with cannabis? And try not to say every music, but maybe give me some specific maybe bands or something that you really think go well, or songs for that matter.
I'm gonna rep them again, because I think I had said something about them in One Hitters. But this shirt I'm actually wearing, Wilco, they are a Chicago band. Mm-hmm. They've been around for years, though. At this point, they're older than I am, a lot older. But their music is just some of the most laid back, just happy feeling, upbeat, and I actually have a rule in my car. Whenever I hear Wilco come on shuffle, I have to smoke, because I just think they're the perfect band to smoke to. But cool. Yeah, other than that, I feel like I love metal music. I used to play even in a metal band, and all we did was smoke.
Right.
So metal music for sure too. I enjoy it.
That's a good game to play with Wilco, provided you're not the driver, and you're
right.
pulling over a lot to wait for the effects.
Take a nap.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Illinois and Chicago and the area that you're in, they legalized medical marijuana in 2013, and recreational use became able for you guys just this last year. What has it been like since Illinois legalized?
It seems like they're doing pretty well here. I mean, the dispensaries I go to, everybody is always super informational, super helpful. They've actually been talking with me about getting my medical card because I'm actually trying to get in, the process of that going. And it's the recreational. It seems a little laggy still compared to medical, just because, like you said, we're pretty fresh into it here. So we haven't reached that point where we're hanging out like Denver or Seattle, and we got these nice, let me go buy a half an ounce of shake for $20 and some tax. We're still paying like, 55 to 65 an eighth, depending on, your strain and the THC content that's in it. But, I mean, it seems like it's just going up and up, though. I mean, I see more and more people every time I go to a dispensary here. I mean, I myself just recently, I've gone here and there to our dispensaries, but this is the way they got to do it, and this is going to help the bad and sometimes shady things that happen in the black market. And that's kind of why I switched to going to the dispensary. I figured I'd rather pay a little more and know what I'm getting than to go and buy the stuff that, you might ask them, hey, what is this, an indica or sativa even? And they don't even know that, And I think it's going to be these dispensaries really obviously being able to provide the information that's going to draw people away from the black market. And it's only going to make recreational and medical weed more prominent and grow. No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's 86 episodes of education for them right here on the Cannabis 101 podcast, and that's what we try to provide for a lot of people. I mean, I remember when legalization happened in Canada, the lineups were so long. There was one store in the city that I lived in, and the lineups were crazy long. And was it like that in the beginning, or has it kind of been like a slow rollout?
From what I've seen here in Chicago, it was pretty. I think everybody was just at this point ready for it, because I mean, Chicago's a top three. Sorry, my cat distracting me. People were ready. I mean, we're one of the top three cities pretty much in America here. You got California with Los Angeles, then New York, and then it's Chicago pretty much. And I feel Chicagoans they were at that point where they're like, okay, come on, why did we're waiting past all these other states who have legalized already, and we're Chicago and we haven't done. So when it first rolled out here, people were lined. It was definitely not slow. We were ready for here in Chicago for that by far.
That is good. Chicago's one of the best sports cities out there, and I'm a lot of shows that I do are about sports, and definitely on my bucket list to go to. And now that there is legalization, I will get to Chicago at some point. Have you looked at working in the industry at all? Is this something that, obviously you have a passion about music and cannabis. Do you think you'll look into working? And I wonder, how is the job creation going, do you think?
Definitely. I actually started looking not too long ago, and I've been applying for some positions. I did actually get 2 emails about positions, but unfortunately, just because I've recently become a father in the last year, and just other personal things that are mixed into mine and my fiance's life, it's just hard for me to get into certain schedules. So unfortunately, I just couldn't work the times that they were looking for, which unfortunately they didn't list that within their listings, so I didn't know what they were looking for exactly. But yeah, I've been looking. I would love to, even if it's just as a picker, so trimmer to bud tender. I would love to work with cannabis at all. But I mean, every time I look, more and more positions. It seems like it's just getting bigger here in Illinois, and we got a lot of space out here in fields, especially down south. So that seems to be where most of cultivation is done, and that's kind of the other problem. I'm towards pretty much the actual city of Chicago, and all that's like 2 hours away. So it's going to be a bit difficult, but if I can, I would love to. I would love to work with it.
Congratulations on becoming a father, and family comes
Thank
first,
you.
and then work on things as you go. You kind of mentioned some of the cool cultivars that you've been able to find. When you go into those dispensaries, I know the education is going to get there, and that takes time. But what is the selection and then the quality like?
Selection is actually pretty good. And not that it would have really any correlation, but for like the prices of what you pay out here, I didn't imagine there would be such a big selection. But right to the left of me, I actually have a huge just stock, because recently with I got my tax refund, so I decided to treat myself, and I've actually recently just been trying a lot of like staple cultivars that most people go bonkers for. I got Maui Wowie here, Pineapple Express actually, and I feel like that, when I told a couple of my friends, they were shocked. They're like, "You never tried Pineapple Express before?" I said, "No, I just never had the chance to get it." And
Right.
I got to say, dopest dope I've ever smoked. But yeah, they got definitely huge selection out here. Very
I
happy
love
with the
Maui
selection.
Wowie. Maui Wowie is definitely one of my favorite. Blue Dream is my jam, but Maui Wowie, when I can find it, I grab it whenever I can. What about other areas in your life? We talk about creativity and helping with music. Is cannabis? Do you use it for any other parts of your life?
Definitely. Almost every single part, to be honest. It was about a year ago, maybe two, that I started personally viewing it as medicine, and not just that, drug that, they're gonna smoke weed. Let's just smoke weed, everybody. Let's get high. Because, and honestly, your podcast, Dean, was a big push into that, because when I heard your slogan for the first time, it really hit home. Because it's not just about really getting high; it is about getting healthy. Because this plant has all these components to it, and all these properties that really are helpful. And it's unfortunate to see what it was like for cannabis through time up until this point, but it's great that people are coming around. Yeah, because I use it for mental illness even. I struggle, and I know from listening to your show, you're no stranger to that world, and people need to not be worried, or that's pretty much what you guys talk about all the time. The stigma needs to be gone. Got to get rid of that stigma. Yeah, I use it for everything.
Yeah, and it's important to make sure people know that I don't smoke a joint and all of a sudden my depression is gone.
Exactly.
It's not a cure all for things. It can help with a number of things. But for people that do have mental health issues, do not just substitute, do not stop taking your prescription medications, do not stop going to therapy. It can help with those things. I go to therapy, I use other supplements that I use. So important to know that it can help. It's not a cure-all, but it can be a big benefactor, as you know, and as I know. All right, I want to ask you a couple more music questions before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Who's a musician and combined with cannabis that you look up to? Is there somebody out there that is kind of like a cannabis musician idol?
Honestly, kind of going back to the story from my one hitters, that vocalist and guitarist that I had smoked with the one time, they pretty much since the time that I really, even before I smoked cannabis and I listened to them, I knew they were partakers, and it would really have to be that vocalist. Trevor Strnad is his name, from the Black Dahlia Murder.
All right.
I look up to him very much so.
We got a nice shot of you guys jamming out here. Tell me how you came up with the name Sea of Cars.
Oh man, you're gonna be tired of hearing about this. I actually got it from the band Wilco. Shout out to them. They have a song called In a Future Age off of an album called Summer Teeth. And in that song, he says, high above the sea of cars. And it really resonated with me for some reason. And sometimes people kind of get a chuckle out of it because I'll tell them the name and they don't hear it correctly. So I usually then will have to use the example like, oh, you know how you're driving by a big parking lot and you're like, wow, look at that sea of cars. And then they get it. Yeah. But yeah, I took it from a Wilco lyric because I love them and I just really liked it. Just sounded different.
Nice tribute as well. People can find seaofcars.bandcamp.com and listen to your music as well as all streaming platforms. All right, let's wrap up with this. I always love to ask every one of my guests, because it's an opinion and opinions can't be wrong. What do you think is the next big thing in cannabis? Now, here in Canada, we have a lot of things going on. You guys are just dipping your toes in it in a lot of different states. I think there's only about 14 states that don't have some form of legalization in the United States. But in your opinion, what do you think will be the next big thing in cannabis?
Hopefully we could take a page out of Canada's book, really. And I feel like them trying to do it locally and through state was not the best idea. But I mean, what are you going to do? So I feel like the next biggest thing they can really do is just, talk, sit down, get on a federal level like you guys are. And I feel like that's what's really gonna be what helps America really get that, okay, everybody get behind cannabis. Like, we need to do this. So hopefully we could see that here. But again, like you said, there's not a lot of states. There's some that are lagging. And I feel like it's going to be a long time for America to get there.
Yeah. It's interesting. We talked on hour one with David Wiley from the OZ on This Week in Cannabis News is very quickly, the United States is going to be sandwiched between two federally legalized countries. Yep. We're already legal. Mexico is rolling it out, and they're going to be legal soon. You look at countries in Europe that are going to get the ball rolling. Yeah. It's just putting more and more pressure on the United States to realize this is a plant, and it's not shouldn't be in the same schedule as heroin. So the pressure's mounting, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous to see how wrong cannabis is done here in America, and how we have to be so pretty much self-centered on our own opinion of everything. No offense to America, but I mean that's essentially what you're doing when you have all these countries doing everything pretty much universally, and you're just going to be the odd man out. Like, it's not how you make friends. It's not how you have a good time.
That's right. Playground etiquette, hey?
Exactly. There you go. Yep. Playground.
All right. This has been a lot of fun, my man. I really enjoy getting to know you. I appreciate the love that you give us on social media and the education that we've been able to give you. That's the goal of this show, is to educate you in an entertaining way. So thanks so much for joining me, man. Best of luck with the music and keep in touch.
Thank you. Of course, always will. Thank you for the show.
The cannabis life experience. It's not just about getting high. It's about getting healthy. Turning the wheel of cannabis, one toke at a time.
That was a fun conversation to be a part of, and we'll have more with Charles as we feature him in One Hitters, getting to know his cannabis history. You can find that in full episodes at www.cannabis101podcast.ca, where you can also subscribe to the Weed Weekly and get in on the email that comes right to you every Friday. All right, big thanks to our friends and good company guys and gals at Stone Smiths. Check them out, stonesmiths.ca, a good local Edmonton company. Let's all support local these days, and this is an amazing product. It just takes 4 seconds to heat up and fire away. There are 3 different temperature settings as well. Great for introduction into concentrates or if you're experienced with it as well. And they got something coming in April. I don't know what it is. I've been trying to get some hints out of Levi and Heath, and I get nothing. So I can't wait to find out what they have coming next, because the slash is dynamite, as Jimmy Walker used to say on Good Times. All right, speaking of good times, let's get into Know Your Buds.
Who grew it? What's the terpene profile? Who created it? What is the lineage? How much THC? What's in a name? This is Know Your Buds, a close-up look at cultivars you should try. Or try again. Joining Dean is our educator, Chris Ianson.
Always love exploring the plant on Know Your Buds with my good friend Chris Ianson, Regional Manager at Plant Life Cannabis. Make sure you use the click and collect on their website, and we're going to have some details in this segment about how you can really get some good deals at a new location. But I bring in my friend Chris Ianson, our educator on Know Your Buds. How are things tonight, my man?
Things are going really good, buddy. It's been a pretty sweet day so far. Yeah, I'm pumped to get this one going with you.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one as well. I ran into and was able to meet the woman behind this company pre-COVID, when we were actually allowed to get out and celebrate and do some different things. So excited about this one for sure. We are doing Blue Topaz, which is Slurricane 9, and it is an 80 to 20 indica, and these are pre-rolls right here, beautiful, from the Queen of Bud. So let's talk about Queen of Bud, because this is a company that has been really growing quite quickly and effectively, haven't they, Chris?
Yeah, totally, Dean. They started up pretty much at legalization there, October 2018. The founder, Ashley Newman, the Queen herself, started the brand off with a retail shop in Calgary, Alberta, and it was a really kind of high-end shop, really fancy looking. All the decor, all the displays in the store just had a really kind of fancy, real pretty vibe to it. Yeah, there you can see it there, just gorgeous. And the store there in Calgary was a big hit, big success, and they went on to open up a second location in Toronto, Ontario. And with that, the kind of retail brand was rolling, and she also had quite a large social media following. Currently she has over 82,000 followers on her Instagram. So just a big presence in social media there. And she kind of realized she wanted to make a more distinct role in the cannabis industry. And a partnership was formed between the Queen of Bud and the Cangery Cannabis facility. And they started growing Queen of Bud cannabis. And so now we're seeing pre-rolls and apes from them, and it's awesome.
Yeah, this when we get to my experience and your experience, you'll find out how the first pre-roll went for me last night. And wouldn't you believe it, my lighter has conked out in this one. So anyway, I'm going to grab a lighter. Will you tell us a little bit about meeting Ashley Newman? Because she is a force. When I met her, I was at a Alberta Cannabis Council event in Calgary, and she just kind of really captivated the room. People kind of wanted to get in and talk to her and find out what she was thinking and things like that. And she just kind of seems to be able to draw the room to her, and really has some bright ideas. I really enjoyed the conversation with her and some of her staff members.
Yeah, totally, Dino. I think that's well said about the energy. She's got a great energy to her. And people want to be around her for sure. So I ended up running into her in a couple different Plant Life stores. She was up here in Edmonton, checking in on some retail shops, and had the pleasure to meet her with Plant Life's own Vanessa Brown there. They were touring around together, and just very positive, very intelligent, very grateful too. Just super happy to be in the cannabis space and happy to be, doing what she's doing. So it was very, very awesome to, yeah, get to know her as well. A wonderful person. Hopefully we can get her on the podcast here later on, Dino. That would be, I think, pretty awesome. And I've got a quote from her website here, and it states, Ashley Newman is a passionate entrepreneur and mother. Having worked in many different industries from construction to marketing and retail, Ashley was elated to finally end up in cannabis. Her devotion to cannabis began when she was looking for a natural alternative method to live her best life. Since then, cannabis has been a major part of Ashley's life, and she hopes to break the stigmas surrounding the use of the plant and educate consumers on the cannabis category as a whole. So just truly awesome there. I am 100% down with that message there. That whole stigma with cannabis is such a big thing for me. So I think, it's super important to be breaking that. And it's just a tremendous story with the Queen of Bud here.
Yeah, becoming a real force in the cannabis industry. So let's talk about, I love the transition from retail to growing. Let's talk about the facility that they are growing this wonderful bud at.
Oh yes, it's the Candry Cannabis facility, and it's located at the base of the Rocky Mountains in Sundre, Alberta, so just near Olds there. And the name of the facility is called Calyptra, and it's a state-of-the-art facility. It's over 43,000 square feet. They've got 12 different isolated grow rooms, equipped with advanced control technology. I've been told I may be getting a tour of this facility in the near future, so I'm super excited to go down there and check it out. There's definitely some really cool brands that we see in the rec market that are being grown at this Candry facility as well. Joy Botanicals, RGB, as well as Violet Tourist. They're all coming out of Candry as well. So a lot of fires coming out of that facility down south.
Yeah, and I love. We're going to get into the website here, and I love how they show you exactly what they are doing, and the work that they're doing. They tell you exactly what is going on, and as I've often said, and we've often talked about, transparency is so important in this industry because of that stigma. So I dig the website, queenofbudcannabis.ca. We showed that retail website earlier. It was really, really impressive. But I like what they have going on at their growing website.
Yeah, absolutely. All the information, all the photos, all the stages, I think that's just great to have. And I feel like the websites are also aesthetically pleasing, real easy on the eyes. But yeah, all that information, that's great. That's what we want to see on everybody's website, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that one. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the history of this cultivar. We're Blue Topaz, the previous name Slurricane 9. So tell us a little bit about the lineage and who created this.
Yeah, for sure, Dino. So it's Slurricane. The original Slurricane descends from Do-si-do crossed with Purple Punch. And so Do-si-do is kind of a classic, super popular cultivar that's out there right now. And it's an OG Kush Breath crossed with a face-off OG BX1. And it's kind of known for its real kind of fruity flavor and floralness to it. And Purple Punch is the other parent there, and that's a Larry OG crossed with the Granddaddy Purple. One of my favorites, one of my go-tos. I just love the purples for sure. Purple Punch is also one of my favorites. It's right up there with Granddaddy Purps as well. And it was created by the American breeders, In-House Genetics. And the Slurricane 9 that the Queen of Bud has as their cultivar is a combination of the phenotypes Slurricane number 44 and Slurricane number 7. So when In-House Genetics were creating the Slurricane, clearly they had at least 44 different phenos of it, probably definitely more than that. And those two kind of paired together just gave this really nice 80-20% ratio indica dominant hybrid that's super tasty.
It certainly is. I I loved Slurricane the first time I had it. I'm so glad to be able to find something once again. It's like my guest this week, Charles from Chicago. He loves the Bruce banner, and you and I were so excited when we saw that Bruce come into the legal market as well. So I'm really, really excited about this. And when we talk about the THC level, this is at 15.4%. I don't know if you heard that just now, but that was a lot of people scoffing at how low the THC is. And Professor Chris, my educator, is here to explain why it's not all about THC.
Oh, totally. THC is not the end-all, be-all in cannabis, for sure. Now this Slurricane from Queen of Bud, it's I think their lowest THC offering to the market. I mean, they've got some like 26% garlic Kush pre-rolls, and their California's at 25, and those are great. I'm also a big fan of this 15. Now there's more to it. We got to talk about the entourage effect when we talk about cannabis. So that's your cannabinoids, your THC, your CBD, as well as your terpenes. And I think for me, just on my own personal level, I feel like the terpenes that are in Purple Punch and are in Slurricane work well with my ECS, my endocannabinoid system. It just reacts really well, and it's become one of my go-tos for sure. So a lot of people will scoff. I'll maybe make a recommendation in store and say, you're looking for something heavy in the evening time. Try out the Slurricane. Oh, buddy, it's 15%. That's not enough for me. We hear that a lot. I wish those people would just give it a shot, because it's heavy and it's nice.
I'm with you, man. I am totally with you on that one. And when you go back to their website, you can find out a little bit more information about the different cultivars they have and the blue topaz that we're doing now. So you nailed it on the entourage effect, and it's not all about THC. As I've said many times, you would not buy your wine probably based on alcohol percentage. So look for other things when it comes to THC. Now, I love this segment, What's in a Name, because people can be really creative. So tell us a little bit about some of the names with the cultivar and the LP.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll start with Queen of Bud. And, they got their name from their founder, Ashley Newman. I think it's great. She kind of stepped up early in the game. She is the queen, and she's kind of taken that role and that throne. All of Queen of Bud cultivars, they're named after crystals, and kind of with the crystals, the effects with the crystals kind of have to do with what the cannabis effects should be. So the Queen of Bud marketing says with the blue topaz is that it's the crystal that unlocks direct access to your inner wisdom, empowering us to make positive decisions and reveal our inner truths, and gain the ability to forgive and move on, helping us become our most authentic selves. So that's kind of the blue topaz there. I mean, I think that's great. It is super reflective. I definitely think when I consume it. And the Slurricane name, has to do with it hitting you like a hurricane. There's also a boozy term for someone that's drank a hurricane beverage, which has got, I think, Bacardi 151 in it. I think I had one in Vegas a while ago. And becoming a slurricane and slurring their words. So there's just a take on that, kind of it hit you really hard. The Slurricane name there for sure.
It does hit hard, and every time I have this, I just have the Dylan Hurricane song running through about the Denzel movie. About the boxer who went to jail. So, man, it's amazing the things that we associate it when we hear, but it definitely hits hard, as we will get to in the experience. But let's talk about the look. First of all, the packaging comes in a box as well, and then just the doob tube there holds 2 of the half grammars. Probably doesn't need a box, but with all the labeling requirements, I understand there are commitments that the LPs have to make, and hopefully in time. All we're getting is just the tube with this, but pretty good. The roll job on this one, phenomenal, Chris. I think that this is one of the tighter joints that I've had. Sometimes you get those ones that kind of bend at the filter. Nothing like that for this one.
Yeah, no, for sure. They're rolled tight. I feel like since Queen of Bud's hit the market, I've probably acquired and smoked over 30 let's say 30 of their pre-rolls, and they've all been good, and they all haven't ran, and they've all been a super good quality smoke. So I feel like they definitely kind of took their time in deciding the route of going with like how to get their pre-rolls, and they picked the right option there, because all the Queen of Bud pre-rolls that I've had have been amazing. So kudos to the Queen of Bud and their crew out there at the Cantry facility.
Now, what about the bud itself, not in pre-roll form? I know that you've got a peek at some of this.
Totally, yes. I've checked out the Queen of Bud. The Slurricane does come in at 3.5. Just couldn't track any down. It is really nice looking bud, though. Caked in crystals is kind of the first thing that comes to mind when you see it. And the nugs are a darker green with like some purple flecks in them, but just the layer of crystals that kind of covers the bud is kind of what makes it so intense and attractive.
That's awesome. And, with something, you mentioned earlier about, I know how big of a fan you are of GDP, and the fact that there's purple punch. I can only imagine what the colors must look like.
Yeah, absolutely. There's for sure some good amounts of purple in there. It's really nice. It's something to see.
All right, let's go through the terpene list. What are we looking at with this?
For sure. So the dominant terpene in the Slurricane here is limonene is number one, and that's kind of a citrus and fruity aroma and flavor. Caryophyllene is number two, and that's Dino's favorite. That's black pepper and kind of a spicy terpene. And then we have myrcene taking it up number three there, and that's kind of an earthier terpene. It's also found in mangoes though. But yeah, those are kind of three common ones we see quite a bit in our talks here. So three of the more popular ones for sure.
Yeah, myrcene, probably one of the most popular terpenes in every cannabis. It seems to be in so many different cultivars. Now, when we talk about the smell, I always like to give Nosy McGee, my wife Trish, the first sniff when I open it, and she went immediately to citrus. The next sniff I went immediately to pepper. And I wonder if we sometimes, we recognize the ones we like so much more, because I seem to be able to pick out the pepper smell in so much. So we just decided that this smells like lemon pepper wings. But what did you get for smell?
For me, it was I got a sweetness. It's almost like a candy-like for me. I definitely get notes of pepper though off the initial whiff. For sure, which is very noticeable. So it's kind of like sweet pepper for me.
Sweetness I get in the taste, definitely. What was your reaction when you taste this?
So for me, it's like a sweet berry fruit with some spice on the inhale, and there's some nice kind of grape flavor notes to it. A little bit of vanilla in there, and then kind of an earthy exhale coming out, but super enjoyable, also super smooth. I find these pre-rolls are kind of tasty down to the filter, which is bonus points.
Yeah, indeed, it is tasty, man, and it is smooth. I get some of the earthy taste as well, and definitely I get the sweetness though, kind of right off the top of it. So it's enjoyable, and that's the main thing. And then when it comes to the effects, and we should point out everybody is different when it comes to cannabis. You talked about the endocannabinoid system, so we all react differently. But I can tell you my experience on this before I get to yours. It knocked me out, man. I had one of these, the first one last night, and I was within like 25 minutes ready for bed. It relaxed me. I had a really good sleep, although I do use some indica THC spray before I go to bed. But man, this really kind of just got me. And I was busy yesterday. I was working right up until I almost went to bed. Had this, relaxed. Usually after staring at a computer or something like that and talking for so much, you're kind of wired. This really brought me to a relaxing situation. So that's my experience. What about yours, Chris?
Yeah, mine was kind of similar. Very, very chill for me. Very introspective high. Found I got a lot of thinking done. Just like sitting on the couch watching some Netflix, and just I would kind of like stop watching the show and just kind of get lost in my thoughts a little bit on whatever I was thinking about. It was very uplifting and euphoric for me. I think that's why I like it so much. It just makes me smile a lot, puts me in a really good mood. And I think I get pretty lazy. So it's not really one to, start a productive day. If you got stuff to do, maybe, plan to hit the slurricane after you've completed your list. I learned that the hard way. And yeah, definitely sedative. I find like it's couch lock city for me. It's, tough to move. I find the struggle of like, maybe I'll go in a couple minutes. I'm so comfortable right now. And definitely a lot of munchies associated with this one too. I definitely hit the fridge a couple times when I hit it. Yeah.
You know what I think this is going to be perfect for? When I go camping, or this summer we've rented a cabin to go somewhere. I like to have one day where I just sit around and sit in the campsite, maybe do some reading, listen to music, just chill out around that. This is what that would be. It's just chilling out in nature. You don't have any really thing to do, so you can just relax, maybe sit in a hammock for a while. I'm definitely going to be picking up some of this blue topaz for that. But what do you think the 3 W's are? Who, what, and when is this good for, Chris?
Yeah, so who it's good for, I think, we're talking that intermediate, that level 2 plus and up. It's definitely, it hits pretty hard. It's pretty relaxing there. I mean, we're not looking at the highest THC levels there. But I just think that someone new to cannabis, you don't want to jump in with the slurricane right off the hop.
Well, and that's a really good point that goes back to your earlier discussion about THC. This is one that we would probably say punches above its weight. It's 15, but it might rock you like some 26s out there because of that entourage effect, because of the terpenes, because of the quality. So you might be looking at us saying, hey, it's only 15. Why is that level 2 plus? Because of everything that goes with cannabis. So I think that's a really good distinction to make.
Yeah, for sure, buddy. It's it does not feel like a 15%er. What it's good for, hitting the couch right after dinner. I love this pre-roll for that for sure. It's great for movies, TV shows. I've been watching a little bit of Blown Away on Netflix. I think I actually just finished it. It's all about blowing glass. It's like a reality series, right. And it's not a lot of like bongs really actually at all on the show, but man, the stuff they do, blowing, I had no idea, and I think maybe the cannabis made that a bit more enjoyable too. I think it's also good for like once things clear up with COVID. I think being like social with pals in kind of a chill way. I've got some homies that I used to see on the regular, once a week, where we just go and hang out in the backyard and burn a couple doobies. I think this would be great for that, just to like really just chill, but nothing too heavy. I've also found it good for graphic work too. Kind of worked out for me too in a real kind of chill vibe. So big fan of the slurricane, and when it's good for, Dino, I think any time of day, you can start it off your day with it. Just be prepared to have a very relaxed day, which I've done. I think mostly though evening time is kind of the best for me. Right after a meal too is a real nice treat.
Kind of sounds like a good campfire cultivar, man. Like a really good cultivar to sit around. Maybe everybody gets their own joint, and you gonna just have a chill conversation with some cool music in the background. So I can't wait to bring this out with my friends when I'm allowed to get back and chill out with our friends again. And I know you guys are excited at Plant Life. I was talking with Gage the other day. He's like a kid in a candy store because you guys have a new store in Albany that is very close to being opening.
Yes, it's going to be opening up next week. In Albany, there in North Edmonton. We're all super pumped. The store is already kind of coming together, starting to look great. I'm going to be there the day before it opens, kind of getting those final touches. So I'm excited to get in there and get my display, my merch and display game on. Really make the store look pretty. We're gonna have some crazy door crasher deals too. I can't really get into too much of the specifics, but it's pretty stupid. I feel like people aren't gonna want to miss it. And actually, speaking of the deals there, we got that Molo March Madness. So currently, until the remainder of March, the 2.5 milligram balanced microdose Molos the non-alcoholic beer. They're on special at Plant Life too. It's also a really nice deal as well. So for anyone looking to try a beverage out, I think that's kind of the perfect way to dip your toe in the water just to see. It's only small amount of cash, so it's great. So yeah, come on down to the Plant Life stores, guys. Check us out. Come talk to any one of our bud tenders. We'd love to help you out.
Looking forward to that new store, and people can head to plantlifecannabis.com, order ahead, check the menus, and you don't have to drive around town. And like we've always said, Chris, in and out a lot quicker, a lot safer right now for everybody. This has been a lot of fun. Blue Topaz, Slurricane 9, and Indica 8020 from Queen of Bud. Check them out online at www.queenofbudcannabis.ca. Thank you so much for this, Chris. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to go take a nap probably very soon, and have yourself a great week.
Yeah, thanks, Tito. Thanks for having me, buddy. We'll see you soon.
This is the Cannabis 101 podcast. It's all part of the cannabis life experience. Turning the wheel of cannabis one toke at a time.
Awesome stuff. We had the Queen of Bud and the Queen of Voiceovers, Christine Bandelow, and her husband Kevin Dabbs are the voice team that you hear on this and every one of my podcasts. So big thanks to them for sure, and big thanks to you if you're watching this on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, or maybe you're checking it out streamed on some of our social media channels. If you're listening and you want to check us out, we are on YouTube. Would love to have you subscribe. Click the bell. You'll get notified every time we put out an episode. And of course, if you're listening, you can just subscribe on whatever platform you choose. If you do like the show, please let us know. Leave us a review. I would absolutely love to hear what you have to say, what you think of the program, what you think we can work on. Certainly, we are looking for constructive criticism and how to make this show better. And whatever stars you give us, we'll be happy with. But we'd always, of course, appreciate a 5-star review. Want to remind you about the Weed Weekly. You can find it and subscribe at the Cannabis 101 Podcast website, www.cannabis101podcast.ca. Just click the green subscribe button. You're in the mix for our prize pack every Friday, but it is only for subscribers, and it's a great way to keep up to date with the Cannabis 101 podcast. And if you'd love to help us out on our Patreon account, we would love that as well. If you would like to get in touch with us, it is pretty simple. If you'd like to be a partner and join in the fun of this show, please let me know. Email me, cannabis101podcast@gmail.com. And for other great podcasts, you can check out Podcast Alley. It's where I have some of my other sports shows, Tracking the Draft with Craig Button, Fantasy Hockey Time, and UFHL Now, among others. So we have a lot of fun at Podcast Alley. It's just right by the Hammock District. We're back at it on Tuesday with hour number 1. David Wiley from the OZ on This Week in Cannabis News. We'll chat with Malcolm LaBelle from the Green Generation Co. on the business of cannabis. We'll have another cannabis character, weed words of the day, cannabis question, and much more. That comes your way on next Tuesday, but individual segments will start coming out on Thursday, right through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So something every day of the week here on the Cannabis 101 podcast, whether it's an episode or some of the individual segments, breaking them down for you in that way. All right, thank you so much for joining me on the program. Appreciate you watching or listening. A big thanks to Charles from Sea of Cars for joining me, and of course Chris Ianson, our educator from Plant Life Cannabis, regional manager. We did Queen of Bud, Blue Topaz, which is Slurricane 9. It was absolutely delicious. Thank you so much for joining me on the program today. Remember, it's not just about getting high, it's about getting healthy. We will chat with you again very soon. As we leave you, we always do, with the marijuana song from the artist My Dead Dog coming at you here. Have yourself a great week.
My name is Otto. I love to get black.